the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And tonight on DC News Now at 5, 2 people are lucky to be alive after a plane crashed in the power lines. What investigators are saying. And with mass shootings on the rise, President Biden is calling for more gun control measures. Is it likely to happen? We'll have the details. And later, stretching your dollar this Cyber Monday will show you the best deals without breaking the bank this holiday season.
And today's been mainly cloudy and chilly, as well as breezy across the region. Will that continue into tonight? And what to expect for your Tuesday? That's all coming up with my full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Scott. 2 people are lucky to be alive after a plane crash in Montgomery County, Maryland. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 5. I'm Mark Hall. And now an investigation continues after one person remains in the hospital. That crash led to widespread power outages and school closures. DC News Now's Annalisa Gale is live in Gaithersburg tonight with the very latest. Annalisa, you've been covering this story since the beginning. What are we learning tonight?
Well, Mark, right now we're waiting for the NTSB to come and inspect this plane that was pulled down from the tower this morning to figure out exactly what caused this crash. Meanwhile, tonight, so many people are still amazed, standing around as Montgomery County Fire and Rescue pulled off an amazing miracle.
All of a sudden, I hear like a huge bang, and I'm like, looking around, I'm like, what was that? And the lights started flickering and stuff. You didn't see the power line, but it's like you could see like a plane just stuck somewhere midair.
I'm just really happy that, this hasn't been a tragedy and that, it's been manageable.
Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Chief Scott GOLDSTEIN says the 2 people rescued following a plane crash in Gaithersburg have now improved after they were transported to trauma centers. They were identified as pilot Patrick Merkel and Jan Williams, both in their 60s.
One is still in the hospital, and that's all the information that I have on the 2 occupants that were in the plane.
The plane, which was stuck more than 100 feet in the air with the trapped occupants, was removed just before 4 a.m. from the tower after the dramatic rescue caught on camera around midnight. Pepco later restoring service for all customers.
At this stage, our responsibility now is to continue to support the investigation.
Some longtime residents say this isn't the first time they've witnessed a crash in the area close to the Montgomery County Air Park.
It's happened numerous times, 4 plus this one's 5.
This could have been a whole lot worse.
DC News Now asked the county executive about their concerns on Monday.
As I understand that the FAA pretty much calls all the shots on this, but we will be talking about, if they call all the shots, then they're responsible for why a person was where they were at this time. They were supposed to be if they were on an automated approach. I want to know what their response is to this.
Now, Maryland State Police are hoping to clear some of the roadblocks in this area sometime this evening as this investigation continues. Mark?
The plane crash at Montgomery Village brought out onlookers, especially those who live nearby. While crews worked to restore the power lines and fix the damage to the towers, people were standing by watching. Many living in the neighborhoods close by say they did not lose power last night because their power lines are underground. They tell DC News Now that things like this happening is the risk you take when you live so close to Montgomery County.
Having a small airport near you is, it's not really that safe, but, we've survived. This place has been here for 50 years.
And while the cleanup efforts continue, businesses in the area are continuing business as usual. We'll continue our team coverage this evening. A big question that's still unanswered right now is what exactly caused the airplane to crash? Although we may not know the answer for quite some time, DC News Now's Joseph Olmo spoke with a former pilot for 2 U.S. airlines and the U.S. Air Force to get his take on the crash. Take a listen.
In your decades in the cockpit, has there been any type of air crash, air accident that comes close to what you saw in the videos that you're looking at?
No, I've never seen a situation like this before where the airplane came to rest on a tower. Again, I think they were extremely fortunate. I think it was miraculous they survived. The information I was able to look at for the flight also showed the speed. So the airplane was going maybe 90 to 100 miles an hour when it hit that tower. How they survived is beyond me. That's a miracle. They're very lucky.
What do you think the FAA and the NTSB are going to be looking at when they check out that plane?
They'll look at the flight path of the airplane. They'll check out, of course, the pilot and make sure he was legal to fly. Weather-wise, the flight was legal, but there'll be a question as whether or not it was a smart thing to do. So they'll check everything: weather, maintenance, pilot, fuel, all the standard things, to see if there's any other issues that it could have contributed to the accident.
Well, let's head over to meteorologist Scott Sumner with a check on the forecast. Scott, it was breezy throughout the day. Will it continue this evening?
Well, no. The good news here, Mark, is the winds are going to start to relax throughout the evening and into tomorrow. Right now, we've got overcast skies, 53 degrees. Temperature-wise, we're pretty close to where we would be normally for this time of year. We have northwest winds at 9 miles an hour. If you remember, you were with me at noon. They were up to 21 miles an hour at that point in time, but they've dropped now till 9 in the region. Sunset just a little while ago by about 15 minutes or so at 4:47. All right, other temperatures here, as you can see, are into the 50s from Waldorf up to D.C. to Frederick to Leesburg. But then once you get to around the I-81 corridor here, right here, we're seeing temperatures drop back off into the 40s, middle and upper 40s here. So just a little bit cooler elsewhere, and that's the current temperatures. We'll continue to slide back into the 30s and 40s overnight tonight, but mainly 30s across the area. And winds, good news here, they're starting to slacken off just a little bit. Most of the wind speeds are under 10 miles an hour for just about the entire viewing area, although there are a couple of pockets where we see some wind speeds at 10 to 15 miles an hour, like Manassas and over towards Lexington Park. Now, in addition to that, we've had a couple of wind gusts up to around 20 miles an hour, like close to Westminster there, and Winchester over towards the Kaiser area, but even the wind gusts are coming down quite a bit overnight tonight. So what about our futurecasts? Well, what do we have here? We do have, again, clouds still in play, but they'll start to break up a little bit, and going into your Tuesday, it'll be a little more sunshine, but the clouds will return, and so will the chance of some rain showers, as you see here with our futurecast. So will these rain showers that you see along the I-81 corridor from Woodstock to Winchester early on Wednesday, will they translate over across to the D.C. region and elsewhere along the I-95 corridor? Stick around. I'll have this full futurecast going into Thursday and Friday of this week coming up in just a little bit. Mark?
Okay, Scott, thank you. New tonight, a high school student has been charged as an adult for bringing a gun to school. It happened this morning at Frederick Douglass High School in Prince George's County. Police say that it was another student that saw the 16-year-old suspect show off the gun on the bus while on the way to school. School resource officers found the gun in the student's backpack. It was not loaded, but there was ammunition. Investigators still trying to figure out why the student brought the gun to the school. Well, Prince William County Police are warning drivers tonight after another person was hit early this morning in Manassas. An 82-year-old woman was killed, and she was walking on the roadway on Hoadley Road. The driver remained on scene. Police say that she was wearing dark-colored clothing. The department has investigated 7 fatal crashes, 6 involving people wearing dark clothing. Well, new details tonight. The judge on Katherine Hochul's competency hearing is expecting the final verdict to be decided this Wednesday. The outcome will decide if Hochul will face trial for the disappearance of her children back in 2014. Today, the judge heard from a medical expert along with closing arguments. Hochul was indicted with 2 counts of first-degree murder after the disappearance of her 2 children, a 2-year-old son, 3-year-old daughter. If Hochul is not declared competent by this Thursday, December 1st, the case will be dismissed. New tonight, Peyton Grendon, the 19-year-old gunman who murdered 10 black shoppers and workers at a Buffalo supermarket, pleaded guilty today to murder and hate-motivated terrorism charges. This guarantees that he will spend the rest of his life in prison. According to the Associated Press, Grendon showed little emotion throughout the 45-minute hearing. Well, developing now, what should have been a weekend spent celebrating Thanksgiving for many was instead a weekend spent mourning more mass shootings and lives lost. Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon has reaction from President Biden to to the string of recent violence.
And because of that string of recent mass shootings, including one at a Virginia Walmart on Tuesday, President Biden is renewing his calls for a federal assault weapon ban.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick.
Following a string of recent mass shootings, President Biden made the case that semi-automatic assault weapons shouldn't be sold in the United States.
Not a single solitary rationale for it except profit for the gun manufacturer.
President Biden also expressed frustration at reports that red flag laws may not have been enforced in the shooting at a Colorado LGBT nightclub, where the gunman reportedly used an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle.
It's ridiculous.
On CBS Face the Nation, Colorado Governor Jared Polis said that neither the gunman's parents nor authorities tried to have the shooter's weapons removed through the use of red flag laws.
In this case, it wasn't pursued by the local sheriff agency.
Democrats in Congress say a patchwork of differing state laws are part of the problem that allow mass shootings to happen time and time again. Congressman Bobby Scott says so far this year, there have been at least 600 mass shootings in the United States.
We can do better. There's no other country suffers gun violence like America.
Lawmakers have not been in Washington because of the Thanksgiving break, but for years, Republicans have blocked a federal assault weapons ban, arguing that many weapons are illegally obtained in the first place. And the window for Democrats to pass new gun reforms is very small, as Republicans will take control of the U.S. House in January. But even within the next month, passing new gun legislation will be very difficult. In Washington, Alexandra Limon.